Those in a second. It is a gorgeous day in Daytona Beach. We've had evenings. We've been racing in the 40s. The tires were giving off sparks, but it's the warmest day in a month here. 75 degrees to go 200 laps, 500 miles. Keep an eye on that fuel window. 40 to 46 laps on each tank of fuel. 12 cars go to the rear. 10 drivers are in backup cars, plus the 2 weekend driver changes, Matt Crafton and Regan Smith. Now they will fall to the rear in the order in which they would have started the race. So whoever was starting the highest up leads that group at the tail end of the pack.
Yeah, Mike, that's close to a third of the field that's going to the rear. Well, one thing that jumped out at me was that track temp, 105 degrees. Haven't seen any track temps like that.
Amy Wambach, Christine Rampone, and Kelly O'Hara from the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team are ready with the green flag. That's Kim Lopez in the helmet, the first female chief starter for a 500. And here we go.
Right, all right. Green flag's in the air. Wait. Let's go racing, boys.
Ya comenzó. Already started. Ya comenzó. Let's go racing.
Sprint Cup career came in this race 1993. He's led close to 25,000 of them. Will Gordon or Johnson lead lap 1?
Well, it's nose to nose right here, but I believe Gordon's got it. I believe Jeff's got it. You know, at the start of the race, I was watching Jimmy Hammond, that 11 car. He was starting to try to make it 3 wide, and he had a whole friend following from the Budweiser Duel the other night, Danica Patrick in that green number 10.
Matt Kenseth, that yellow number 20.
197 miles per hour. 197 millas por hora.
Working their way up through the field from the back. Patrick up to 17, Hamlin 14.
Arriba de 300 kilómetros por hora.
Feeling to look in your mirror if you're Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, or Dale Earnhardt Jr. Those are teammates from the Henry Motorsports group. Look pretty stout.
Double wide, first 12 cars. Then it's 3 abreast from there on back at 200 miles per hour.
200 miles per hour.
There I see Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car leading this race. When you get out there like that, we saw the same thing in the Budweiser Duel qualifying race. You have to watch both lines behind you. And you see the run that Carl Edwards in the 19 car there got on Jimmy, but didn't have anywhere to go with it. Had to back off a little bit, and that bottlenecked everybody behind him. But Johnson doing a nice job leading this thing.
Matt Kenseth tops the list of biggest movers. After 3 days and nights of crashing and carnage, an orderly start to the 500. But in 4 of the last 6 500s, the first caution flag has flown before lap 10.
You know what's kind of ironic? You think about Carl Edwards working with Darian Grove. Darian Grove was Tony Stewart's crew chief when Tony beat Carl for the Sprint Cup Championship, and here they are 3 years later working together.
Edwards in that orange number 19 has slotted into second behind Jimmy Johnson Chevy.
Said he was a little nervous about this new deal over there at the Joe Gibbs Toyota camp, but I think the way they performed this week was finishing 3rd in the Unlimited, 3rd in the Duel. They've been fast. I think the tension has kind of dissipated a little bit. Darian's that way, Larry. He will calm you down. He's a real calm guy, doesn't get excited. I think that he and Carl make a really nice combination.
Add to that drama, Grove was Jimmy Johnson's crew chief for one of his Daytona 500 wins. 5 cars at the back of the pack, losing touch with that lead draft, perhaps by design.
One of the things we hadn't heard all the 10 days we've been down here is everybody's cars seem to be handling really, really well. The cool temps was making the track have a lot of grip. Today, I'm really anxious to see just how these tires are going to hold up and how these cars are going to handle in these hot conditions.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., that blue car, moving to the outside for second place against Jeff Gordon.
Well, that 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., has been the fastest car in single-car runs ever since we got here. He's had a couple of 3/10s in the bank. Wouldn't surprise me to see him go up there and take the lead.
Every time we've interviewed him, he has been ecstatic about the way that 88 car has been handled and the speed it has had.
And another crew chief driver combination. Greg Ives comes over from the Xfinity Series with Chase Elliott last year, and here he is with Dale Earnhardt Jr. They've already won their qualifying race and look like they got a pretty fast car today.
The big difference today, though, is the temperature. Not just the ambient temperature, but the temperature of the racing asphalt. There you see the difference from a week ago Saturday night until right now.
Oh, it's huge. And that's like, you almost change your setup for the conditions to be as different as they are.
And the biggest thing, it just does not have as much grip. When the track temp comes up, the tires don't grip as good.
Now the tires they build up more pressure because of the heat of the track. They build up more tire pressure. That affects the handling of the car. Ambient temperature affects everything. Tape on the grill, another thing that these guys haven't had to deal with. Hopefully they've all figured it out.
Walk out in your driveway barefoot when it's 105 degrees and see how much traction
There you go. Go to the mailbox.
Joey Logano in that yellow Ford trying to break up the Hendrick trio at the front of the field. He has Tony Stewart in tow, the 14, Kevin Harvick the 4, and Matt Kenseth the 20 on the inside lane.
Darrell talked about Tony Stewart, that 14 car. I think he could be the sleeping giant. 48 career wins in Sprint Cup, never the Great American Race.
Here comes Logano to the inside in his Ford. Matt Yoakum.
Joey has put more into this event than any other. Working with his spotter, they watched old restrictor plate races, just thinking about what each were thinking at that moment, as well as the communication. The second duel, he went up on top of the stand to watch with his spotter, and they talked about it as well. It's just right where they are now is one of the most difficult areas for the spotter to call. So Tad Boyd said, you have to be more in control at that point. Chris Neville.
Well, Matt, the guys in the booth just talking about the track, the temperature today, and Carl Edwards already talking just 8 laps into this race that 19 car a little bit tight off turn 4. He's saying, guys, if we're going to have a problem, that's where it's going to be today.
And turn 4 it's kind of problematic anyway because it's where the tunnel goes under the track down there, and as you come out of turn 4, in the banking, the car feels good, but when it settles down onto the straightaway, over that little bump there, it can really upset your car.
We know how tense side-by-side traffic can be on the interstate at 60, 70 miles an hour. What's it like at 200?
Well, the cars you see right here, the cars buff around. There is so much dirty air, turbulence pouring off these race cars. They will actually suck themselves into each other. I mean, you get up beside the guy's your right front fender, his left rear quarter panel. We've seen it in practice. We saw it in the qualifying races. It can upset the car on the outside big time.
Oh, Logano cuts up high as Gordon drops to the bottom, and Joey gets a slingshot draft off the 24. Comes up to second right behind Jimmy Johnson.
I believe that Logano is going somewhere, buddy.
But I'm pretty impressed with our pole sitter, Jeff Gordon, at 24. He's being pretty aggressive in early going. He doesn't have a problem going for the top 25.
You know why, Larry? Because he doesn't want to get back in the eye of the storm. Stay up front. That's the safest place to be.
10 laps complete this time by. Jimmy Johnson has led 8 of 9 so far. Just had a big slide down in turn number 1, and that loss of momentum is going to cost him third place for the moment to the 22 of Logano.
That's what I was going to say. That was a moment. That was one of those moments, and you don't want to do that again. Fortunately, he was in a position where he could catch it without making any contact with anybody else.
Race, he has not been denied except for the first lap. Jeff Gordon. He came back in 14th, the other 3. Hendrick Chevrolet's right up near the front.
Mike, sometime around, I think Larry for this, somewhere around 20 laps. It's when the tires really start to, you find out who's got the best handling cars, because the tires really start to give up a little bit, and then all comes to handling. We got a great battle for the lead.
3 wide, though, right behind him.
Looks like Jeff Gordon's going to take the lead in 24 and bring the 22 of Logano with him.
And Jimmy Johnson in that 48, he got shuffled to the outside. He's finally going to fall back in line.
I think he might have touched the wall off the 4 there, too. Maybe there's a little push problem with the car.
Might have rushed it alongside Martin Truex with Jimmy Stewart on the bottom. Johnson caught the lead.
this is a 15 to 20. I always feel like that's when transition of being really good or going to junk.
Oh, that's 12. Blanket right behind the front five. That is a tight pack right there. No one able to surge ahead. Logano wants the lead.
I believe Carl in the 19, Carl Edwards in the 19 car will get up there and maybe give Logano the push he needs. That inside line looks like they got the push right now.
Junior gave the shove coming into the tri. He was able to hold the lead. Now 2 laps ago when Jimmy Johnson got shuffled, his 48 may have brushed the wall. Let's see.
Yeah, he's right up there in that place right now, right where the tunnel is. It makes the car push a little bit. He scraped it, didn't hurt it, just scraped it a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen that happen to a number of drivers late where the banking goes all the way to flat.
Larry, the car feels good, heavy. You got a lot of input in the steering, but when it then it's liable to jump into the wall like Jimmy's did, Jimmy Johnson's did.
Denny Hamlin told me this morning, I like to lead. I'm going to get to the front just as soon as I can and get the nose of his Camry in the wind. He started at the back. He's almost to the front.
I just believe that Jimmy Johnson way back here on the outside. I think the handle's all the way on that car where it's like he just hauled.
Mike, you talked about getting black number 11. I think Matt Kenseth in that 20 started as well, and he's been working his way up through the middle.
Laps complete. Jeff Gordon back out front. He and teammate Jimmy Johnson are the only 2 drivers to lead in the first 17 laps of the Daytona 500. We're under caution, lap 19. That yellow car is Landon Castle. The Iowa driver finished 12th in last year's 500. Something big. Let's go under the hood. He drops to the bottom, but with fluid on the racetrack, the caution flag waves.
Really nice job of getting that thing down off. Not causing a bigger mess.
Now, Mike, pit road will be open. We're over a third of the way through a fuel run. I think you're going to see a lot of these drivers get 4 tires, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see a lot of them go with just 2 rides.
Jeff Gordon leads them onto pit road. Jamie Little.
And Jimmy Johnson already led 12 laps today. Not sure if he actually did touch the wall. He asked his spotter and they couldn't tell. They will change those right sides just in case, so the handling could be a little bit better. Chris?
Jamie Gale Jr. saying that the car is a bit tight. He tried running the tire fans, but said that 88 got snappy loose going into the corner. Looks like 2 tires on 88.
Joey Logano, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, all complaining about the same issue. The car extremely tight, especially off turn 4. Biff opted for 4 tires to make a much more significant adjustment this early in the race to try to make some big gains.
Pretty much a dead heat for the Advanced Auto Parts race off pit road. Gordon beating Joe Logano by a... Landon Castle's car hauled to the garage. He'll be the first casualty of this Daytona 500. We're under caution. On the 2.5-mile tri-oval, the quickest. Keep in mind the lead car, not necessarily the fastest due to the draft. Michael McDowell's Ford has the fastest speed of this race so far. Aflac's one-day pay because they know speed matters. Cole Witt penalized for too many men over the wall on that first pit stop of the day. Now, Michael Annett, Casey Mears, Bobby Labonte stayed out when everyone else pitted. Annett is credited with leading a lap of the 500, as is J.J. Yaley and now Casey Mears. Eric Stonestreet's been a fan. He's been around all weekend, enjoying the Fox Bash at the beach, and here for the 500 up on the pit box. So Kevin Harvick, 22 laps complete.
On Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Budweiser still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you.
42 cars on the lead lap. Sam Hornish at the back. He had a long stop fixing his helmet air conditioning. Everyone is pitted. Jeff Gordon, Joey Logano on the front row. Gordon gets lane choice, picks the inside. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex, Carl Edwards, Casey Mears, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, Jamie McMurray, the top 10. We are back under green. When they get to the backstretch, there'll be a lot of speedy dry blowing up there.
Yeah,
effect on the drivers.
Well, it sticks to your windshield, and if you're back in the back, it just gets that much worse. And you need to see as clearly as you can right now when you're all packed up like this. So it will have some effect. There you see it spraying up on the cars back in the field there, and it does stick to those Lexan windshields. A lot of it. It's like running through a dust storm.
Still a lot of 3 wide. That green car on the bottom. Danica Patrick 3 abreast, talking about the wind up in turn 4.
I said that I'm sure turn 4 being tight is definitely some of the wind, but it doesn't change that it's still an issue.
Yeah, I mean the big flat sides on these cars, one of the things that makes them handle good in the corner. Also, those big gust of wind, those tough winds, will move the car around.
But I will say before that caution that we had already run, a lot of drivers were complaining about their cars being tight. They were turning the steering wheel, but the front tires were not responding.
And that's usually the way it goes because you want to be a little hotter and a little tighten the car up. You can back that as the race goes on.
Logano and Edwards side by side as they come off turn number 4 behind Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. In orange, Logano in yellow.
Well, right now, I'm just saying it's going to be hard to shake one of those Henry cars. I mean, Watson, Jeff Gordon, one of them's up there holding the lead pretty good.
Tony Stewart's the inside line trying to move up. Matt.
Mike, the only thing missing from his career is a Daytona 500 win. Now, effort equals results. Now, remember back in the duel, Stewart's 14 sustained significant body damage. His crew chief, Chad Johnson, actually did much of the repair work. In fact, they had so much bodywork stuff going on, he had to change his uniform twice due to so much Bondo dust. But the car was fast. They did not want to go to a backup, and they're showing why now.
And they've gone to start this race in the front.
It's ridiculous. Keep it in the race. A driver that's confident his car, crew, the whole package, that's what you...
Jeff Gordon out front trying to become the first driver since Bobby Allison in 1988. Daytona 500 final start race.
Back in the day when there wasn't so many cars in the race, we could fix them a lot better here at the track. A lot. Hey man, give me a break. A wall, come on.
Let's check in on Regan's Rookie of the Year, named this weekend to replace Kurt Busch in the 41 for Gene Haas and that Chevrolet team. Vince Welch has more.
Not a regular sprint driver right now, but he has a lot of experience. 172 Cup starts, one in this series back at Darlington. To start the race, they wanted the car to be a little bit snug because of securement and the fact that he has not had practice, none in. But he said it was just way too tight. Made air pressure and chassis adjustments to free him up, particularly in turn 4.
He had a long run in yesterday's X Series race as he leads the 55 of Michael Waltrip.
And back to Regan. His wife Megan is back in North Carolina area, due with the first chop. He did.
Well, yeah, y'all do remember he was upside down yesterday.
Is he?
60.
He'd never been upside down in a race car.
He said he had a strong run. It didn't say he had a great finish. Dale Earnhardt Jr. running second behind teammate Jeff Gordon. Let's look at the nationwide Dale Jr. performance report for the first 30 laps of this 500.
Watching Dale Jr. here, and you see how you look behind you probably is 75% of the time. you kind of have a sense about what's in front of you and where the people are in front of you. You're constantly looking at who's making a run on you, where they are, and that's why you see him looking back a lot. Another thing, Dale Jr. is left-handed, and he uses that left hand to really drive the car. You watch him, he'll take that right hand and just slip it up on top of that wheel when he gets down the corner. He really does most of his steering with his left hand.
Two-time defending Daytona 500 champion Dale Earnhardt Jr. in second, behind Jeff Gordon and ahead of Carl Edwards. Edwards with a brand new team this year. He left Ford and Roush Fenway Racing and moved over to Joe Gibbs and the Toyota camp, joining former teammate Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch.
Yep, he was Coach Gibbs' #1 draft choice for this year.
Yeah, Carl Edwards has 23 Sprint Cup Series wins, an Xfinity Series win, but he has never won a Sprint Cup Series restrictor plate race.
Kyle Busch watching from a Daytona hospital after a crash in yesterday's race. His substitute driver, Truck Series champion Matt Crafton. Let's get an update on the 18. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, an update for Kyle about his car with Crafton behind the wheel. Everything going according to plan. Now, they waited and pitted the second time by, not with all the leaders, because they just wanted to have a nice, easy entry on the pit road. Because remember, Kyle had issues in the duel with his tach. They also wanted Matt to be able to get his bearings of where they were pitting, and everything going according to plan. He says the car is just a tick on the snug side, but all well.
Matt Crafton was a groomsman in Samantha Bush's wedding. There they are earlier today at the hospital, expecting their first child.
But think about Matt Crafton. He has a ton of racing experience. He's won the last 2 championships in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. The biggest race of the year. Darrell, I was thinking about it this morning. What if the night before the Super Bowl, as a backup quarterback, you said, our starting quarterback can't go? I know you've never started a game, but you're our guy tomorrow.
Put me in, Coach. But hello to Kyle and Samantha. I know you're watching.
They're expecting in May, there's a baby boom these last 4 or 5 years in NASCAR. Drivers and kids. Gordon has been out front for 22 of 37 laps. In this Daytona 500 sprint, we'll cut your rate plan in half. Bring your Verizon or AT&T bill to Sprint, turn in your old phone. They will cut your rate plan in half at a Sprint retail store or on sprint.com/half-price. Closing in on 25,000 career laps led. 6th on the all-time list.
But you know, Chris Myers talked about it in the pre-race show. 762 starts in Sprint Cup, all consecutive starts.
One thing, Larry, we got audio from Eddie. Let's see what Dale Jr. says.
Jeff, it seems to string the field will be run on the bottom instead of the top.
One of the things I was going to say is, these guys right now, they are giving a lot of feedback to the crew chief. They got that first pit stop in, the cars were like a little tight, they adjusted on. You got to keep feeding information to the crew chief. Cars doing this, cars doing that. You got to break the corners down, good in, middle, center, off. And that's the information that will help you get down near the end of this race and have a good race car.
Let's go to Earnhardt's pit. Chris Neville.
Like obviously Dale saying, let's run the bottom of the racetrack now. That was just one comment he had to TJ Majors. He's told him a couple different times to try and tell Jeff's crew, let's run the 24 and the 88 at the bottom. And Dale also saying since that last pit stop, the car not as tight as it was. So the adjustment that it was making is working on the 88.
That's what you do. You start the race with the car a little tight. You don't want to be up in the middle of this field with a car that's loosey-goosey and about to spin out. So you start them a little tight, then you back that out as the race wears on.
And Chris Neville mentioned TJ Majors. That's the spotter for Dale Earnhardt. All of these drivers have a spotter that's up on top of the main grandstands. It's another pair of eyes for these drivers.
23 drivers in this lead pack. One of them is Brad Keselowski in 19th place. He's made a nice rebound, Matt, after a long pit stop.
Mike, the reason why the long pit stop, Brad was complaining about the car being extremely loose, just slipping and sliding all over the racetrack. So pushing Paul Wolfe decided to fix the car now under caution. They can make much bigger changes. They pushed in a spring rubber as well as a chassis adjustment, just trying to tighten up that too.
From 33rd up into the top 20. Oh, the restart. Stewart in the wall. And now, Matt Kenseth got bounced into the wall. Everybody scatters. Yellow flag.
Stewart has a lot of damage, and so does the 20 car. A lot of damage on the right front of the 14 car of Tony Stewart, you can see there.
Two of the big favorites to win the Daytona 500. The Chevy of Tony Stewart, the Toyota of Matt Kenseth, come to grief here between turn 4 and the trioval at lap 41.
Kenseth is a little less, maybe a little more cosmetic. You can see some smoke off the right front, but Tony's has got some chassis suspension damage.
See how this started, Harold.
Stewart's down here on the bottom behind the 22 car, Joey Logano, coming up. Look like that thing that we've seen. Oh gosh, he got right over into the 21 car. One of the things we've seen is when a car gets to the left corner of your car, it loosens you up so badly. That's what it looked like. Hamlin got that nose up there, shot him up the track.
Now, Stewart was 6th down here at the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, you see Hamlin behind him in the 11. Now watch when Hamlin gets right to that left rear quarter panel. It turns your car, it makes your car get loose. And Tony tried to correct. Ryan Blaney was there. Michael ran into the back of the 20. Michael walked into 55, ran in the back of the 20 of Matt Kenseth. Just a bottleneck chain reaction.
Damage on that red and white 21 of Ryan Blaney's as well.
Look at Jamie McMurray, that black number 1. He's going to slide through there.
Couple of hits there for Kenseth, 3 in all. He's down on the apron.
I think Matt's car might be okay. I think they can repair it. I'm not sure about Tony's.
There's Michael Waltrip, the 55, getting in the back of Matt Kenseth. Oh, wow, he missed Regan Smith. Okay,
just barely.
A ride with Matt Kenseth?
I don't
here.
I don't ride with you. Not now.
Tony Stewart, like Dale Earnhardt a couple of decades before him, has tried everything to win the Daytona 500. Now, that car's not out of it. It'll be damaged. It may have some repair on it, but it can still draft and still run. Here's what Brad Keselowski had to say about this one.
Copy, you should to back up there a little bit. It didn't even feel like it's that hard. It just bumped them for the top of the fender. I don't think it's anything big.
Said he popped the fender. Look, when you hit the nose of the car, it'll bowl the fender. It'll bowl the hood and the fenders up a little bit. It looks okay, but we'll have to take a closer look when he's in the pit.
Pit road is open under the second caution, Jamie.
And Jimmy Johnson earlier saying his car's a little bit tight, not turning as well as he'd like, but they said that is gone. The car is better. They'll put on right sides and make a chassis adjustment. Chris?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. took 2 tires on the last stop, said the car is getting better right in front of us, the 19 Carl Edwards. Pretty heated debate on that car, whether to take 2 tires or 4. They take 4. Matt?
Jeff going in, same issue as last time. The car tight, but it is consistent. Right side tires again for the 24.
Jeff Gordon wins the race on pit road from Joey Logano, who picks up 3 spots there. And we're under caution for the second time today in the Daytona 500 on Fox. Cash card, the only card that pays you back twice. 5 drivers in the field have won the Great American Race twice, including Jeff Gordon 3 times. Here's where they are running today. We will restart with Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart under repair on pit road. Landon Castle in the garage area, blown engine. Everyone else on the lead lap as we go back to green. Jeff Gordon and Joey Logano on point.
Matt Kenseth sets on pit road. They work on the car there. I think they decided to take their licks. Let's get it fixed before we go back out.
Stewart had steering damage in the right front they're trying to repair.
We're almost a quarter way through this race. Enjoy Logano in the 22, Gordon in the 24, Earnhardt in the 88, Johnson in the 48. They still have not changed left side tires.
You think back to the Sprint Unlimited, Dale Jr. was going to run 75 laps on the same set of tires. So apparently the hotter track conditions are not affecting the tires as much as we thought it might.
Matt Kenseth back in the race as Joey Logano tries to become the 6th driver to lead this Daytona 500 and does at the start-finish line. Let's check with Jamie.
Matt Kenseth pitted 3 many times to fix that right front damage. The clearance wasn't good enough. There was a tire rub, so they actually had to replace part of that right front fender. And he's going to stay out now. Right now, it seems like the suspension is okay on the 20 car.
I think that was wise. Go ahead and get it fixed, lose a couple laps, whatever you got to do, and then try to get a lucky dog or two and get back in this thing.
The field will lap him by. Once again, Joey Logano's Ford is out front of the 500. Let's give you a NASCAR on Fox. Break it up. Engineer Emeritus Freddie Aldis, who's brought us such great sounds on Speed Week these many years, looking at his final 500. Joey Logano out front. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Denny Hamlin all in a position to strike at the head of this draft.
Seems to be a theme here. Yeah, out front, like Joey is. We saw with Jeff Gordon, we saw with Jimmy Johnson. Seems like he's been holding everybody at bay.
Tony Stewart has not returned to the track. In fact, he's headed back for the garage. Matt?
Mike, heartbreak for Stewart. Now, there are two different groups working on the 13. One was working on the cosmetic damage. Another group was working on the suspension area in that right front. They have come to the conclusion that the spindle in the right front is severely bad. They're taking it back to the garage. They're going to take their time and replace it. His chances for a 500 win will have to wait till next year.
3 times Stewart has finished 41st or worse in this race.
Yeah, if you look at the 4 restricted lane races last year, his best finish was 34th. Yeah, he contact with that outside long. Surprised that they didn't take it to the garage.
40 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth 2 laps down. Stewart going to the garage. Landon Castle out of the race.
Look at Joey Logano in his 22-car leading this race. A couple of years ago, after spending about 4 years at Joe Gibbs Racing, he had no idea where his career was going to go. This is his 3rd year with Team Penske over there. Won 5 races last year. This is his 7th year in Sprint Cup, and he's only